Yo, what up, nerd? So, I heard you like music, right? I heard you like some good bass, and I heard you like the treble to not be fatiguing. You like some rock music, probably rap, hip hop, right? If those things ring true, then boy, do I have a set for you. Or girl, I don't discriminate. Today, we're reviewing the TRIxHBB Kai. This beautiful, beautiful set. I'm just showing off to you right now. And yeah, full disclosure, HBB and Tri sent this to me for review. I have not been paid or influenced or otherwise, I don't know, nobody told me to say anything, basically. I will compare it to other sets that I bought with my own money, and I wasn't, of course, paid or influenced to say anything about those either. So, alright, with all of the disclaimers out of the way, I think that since I'm reviewing a HBB set, if you don't know, HBB is another reviewer in this community. He also reviews headphones, right? I'm gonna do him a bit of a tribute, and I'm gonna kind of structure the review as he would. But as he would, he would probably start with the build quality. So let's go and do just that. Alright, so moving on to the table. First thing that immediately stood out to me about the Kai, it's beautiful. Second thing that immediately stood out to me about the Kai is that it's a fingerprint magnet, and actually they thought about it and they included a microfiber cloth in the box with the IEM, so you can polish it and make it look its best again, which I don't know, I feel like it's just a really nice touch to have, so I'm just gonna leave it as a prop for this review, because why not? Yeah, so second thing I noticed, third actually, about after the fingerprint stuff, this cable is awesome. Like, I don't think I've seen a better cable included with any budget IEM. It's nice, it's soft, it's just, when you tie it, it's just perfect. It stays in place. About like the only fault I could find about it is it doesn't have a chin cinch, which I would appreciate. But god damn it, with this aesthetic and this behavior of the cable, I just can't complain, really. What I can complain about is the tips. I didn't like the tips that were included. I think like if Tri want to improve on something in next sets, I think the tips would definitely be the thing to improve. So I just put a pair of final E tips on them, because I just found, actually I found two tips that worked really well for this IEM, for the fit and for the sound. Those were the final E and the Moondrop spring tips, but the spring tips focus more on treble and kind of lower the bass, right? Which is might sometimes be cool with this IEM. I'm going to come back to that when I'm talking about the sound. But the final E actually accentuate the bass, which, I mean, this is an IEM with really good bass. We'll get to that. But yeah, so I just wanted to accentuate, so I put the type E's on them. Anyway, when it comes to the fit, let me just punch into the face camera right now. The fit on the Kai is really good. Like, they just slot into my ears and stay there, and I can just like headbang in them, and they just stay there like no problem, which is epic. I wish more IEMs in this price range would do that. I'm gonna talk about two competitors that don't in this review, so there's that. But yeah, the fit is great. Though I have noticed one issue that's not necessarily related to the fit, but it comes up when you're fitting the IEM. There is some driver flex, right? So when you put the shell into your ear, you will hear like some subtle crinkling, as if somebody was like crinkling some aluminum foil in your ear. And that's just the driver flexing a little bit, which it's like not a deal breaker. It doesn't like hurt the sound or performance in any way. Just kind of feels cheap, which I wish they would iterate on that in the next IEM, but not a major problem really, because like after you have him in your ears, like you don't hear that, so whatever. But yeah, I had to mention that. Okay, so let's talk about the sound. And instead of doing it like I usually do, let's do it the HBB style. So I'm just gonna lift the camera, Here's my Spotify. Yeah, there we go. Right, I'm just gonna hold it, because whatever. Okay, wait, it should work like this, perfect. Okay, so I could record the screen, but HBB does it like this, so I'm just gonna do it like this. Alright, so here's my review playlist, right? When I test the bass, I use 3 songs: Eagles Are Ruining My Life by Corpse, Tokyo 2020 by Que Bona Fide, and Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie, right? So the first song I test for the rumble, right? And the Kai has good rumble. There is a decent quantity in the sub bass and some pretty decent dynamics. It's not like the rumbliest IEM I have ever tried, but it's also not anemic in that region, right? Next song, Tokyo 2020, is what I used to test the punch of the bass, like how hard hitting is it, right? And this bass is great. Like, it's nice, it's dynamic, it's very punchy, it has really good slam and dynamics. Like, for the price, I'm genuinely impressed by the quality of the bass and the quantity. There's quite a lot of bass in the set, not like, excessive amounts, but definitely a lot. If you're used to like less bassy sets, like for example my main sets are like the Final A4000, Ibasso AM05, Moondrop SR, the A4000 actually has a quantity of bass that's kind of similar to this one, but still this one has more, right? But if you're a bass head, then this would just sound like normal bass quantity, I guess. Under Pressure, this one I test. I use this song to test like how good bass guitar sounds like, because this song has like this iconic, just like bass line, right? The bass is goes like dun 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 dun, right? And I don't know, I just find it addicting. So I use this song to test the bass, right? And I found that the bass in here is actually quite fast, which I was surprised, because it's a bassy single dynamic driver. So I'm like, okay, it's gonna be kind of slow and muddy, but no. It's actually not. Like the different notes of the bass just don't like bleed into each other, which is honestly impressive with this much bass. I really like that. And what this bass tuning does is when you have how do you call it? When you have I prefer my own format, but whatever, let's do HBBs. So when you have like the main chorus of the song, right, when there's like all the vocals and all the different instruments playing, you can still like clearly follow the bass line, which is good. I really like that about the set. Next, 3 songs I used to test a mid-range. Leader of Men by Nickelback. This tests the lower mid-range. Male vocals, bass guitars, on a set that's just got no technical ability, this song can sound muddy. And on a set that has like too much, like too little mid bass and too little lower mid range, this song will just sound kind of thin and lifeless. This is like a really grungy old rock song. I love it. Like Nickelback gets a ton of fucking hate, right? But if you listen to the song and still say the band is bad, you're a fucking idiot. All right. Anyway, but yeah, this is a great fucking song, right? And just what the Kai does to this song, it reproduces Chad Kroeger's vocals really powerfully. The vocal is like thick and heavy, as it's meant to be in this song, right? Maybe a bit more on the like thick and heavy side, but it's not like, unpleasant in any way, right? It's not neutral, but it's a bit elevated in the lower mid-range and mid-bass, but it just sounds so good. And the bass guitar in this song is fucking nuts on this set. I will compare to other sets later, don't worry about that, I'm not just mindless shilling. Where the Wild Roses Grow, Nick Cave and Kylie Minogue. This song is awesome for testing male and female vocals, and if the 2 different tonalities, if both are done correct, if one of them is done better than the other, if one of them is more dominant, In this case, I honestly, I'm gonna be transparent. I fully expected Nick Cave's vocal to be like kind of dominating the song based on the tuning, and it is thick and heavy, but actually so is Kylie Minogue. She sounds good. She doesn't sound, sparkly, as some sets might make her sound, but she sounds vaguely correct. That's like the best description of the mid-range on the set I can give, is despite the big bass, the mid-range still sounds vaguely correct. I'm going to compare it to one set that, in my opinion, has an even better mid-range soon. So that's why I say vaguely. But like, without being those sets, you don't notice like any like bloat or anything in the mid-range. That's actually really nice. Another song I used to test female vocals, and the ending bit, like the last 30 seconds, 25 maybe, I used to test separation, because there's like other vocalists in the background. This set actually does separate the vocalist, which means the technical performance is a bit better than like, the average budget 5 set. That said, the separation, like, you can hear the different voices, but they aren't very well separated. That's the kind of technical performance I would expect from this price range, right? It's just like on par with the price range. And yeah, the Maisie's vocals sounds very warm, lush, rich. It's not like, thin. But on the other hand, it's not like sparkly either, right? Sometimes with female vocals, you want that sparkle in your ear. The Kai does not give you that, right? It's a very relaxed presentation of the music. Like all of those songs which I listened so far, they sound really relaxed. Like the set just doesn't try too hard to give you the music. It's just like, yeah, bro. It's kind of like stoned, right? And it's like, yeah, bro, I'm just gonna give you the music. Yeah, let's play the music. That's what the Kai does. I'll have another analogy in the comparison. Anyway, 2 songs I used to test the treble are Propuesta Indecente by Romeo Santos. This song has so many instruments in it. There's like 4 different types of guitar. There's like surf guitar, there's Spanish electric guitar, there's bass guitar, and I think there's one more. And there is, a ton of treble instruments. There's the accordion, there is the, how do you call it? The guiro, the kind of like really weird Latin instrument. And there's bongos, there's strings. This song just has a lot of instruments on them, right? And I use it to test the timbre of those instruments, because I noticed that this song really easily makes me able to tell apart like the sets with good timbre and the sets with mediocre timbre, right? And this is, if I wasn't positive about the Kai before, this is where my shilling starts, right? Because when you look at the graph, actually, let me pull up the graph, right? Let me just go to, let's go to NIMS squiggling, because that's the one I use the most recently. And look at that. Yeah, that's NIMS target, whatever. I'm just gonna put in the Kai, right? And put in another IEM I'm gonna be comparing it to, Dunu Tightness, for comparison, right? When you look at those graphs, you expect the Kai to be like really bassy, right? And just like really dark in the treble. Like there is just not a lot of treble, right? It looks as if the extension like really rolls off. But the tuning of this treble though, is just like, that's what actually surprised me when I first put it in the set. I was like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of bass. Okay, the mid-range is nice. Then I heard treble, right? When I heard this song on the Kai, like, I knew that whatever the fuck HBB has done, he made a winner. Because the treble on the set is just so good. It's full. There is true body to all of those treble instruments. The strings, the accordion, the bongos, right? You hear, like, they feel physical. They exist. So many IEMs have what I call IEM treble, right? Where the treble is just meh. It's there, but it's whatever. This song on this set, if you have the Kai, just do yourself a favor and listen to Propuesta Indecente by Romeo Santos, and you will hear how good the fucking treble is. It's amazing, actually. Another song I used to test treble is With You by Linkin Park. I test mainly electric guitars on this song, and what I heard here was a mixed bag, right? Because I mentioned that there is not a lot of treble, right? The treble quality is good, but quantity is a bit less than I would personally like. Now, I know the reason for it, right? Before HBB rushes in to say that, I know why he tuned it like this, because so it's less fatiguing and you can listen to it long term. And yes, I can listen to the set for a very long time without getting fatigued. So he accomplished that. Nevertheless, what I found on the song, the quality of the treble is still good, right? Like the electric guitar is like gritty, it has texture, it's so good. It's a good timbre, great. But it just needs more pop. This song in particular, With You by Linkin Park, you got the electric guitar, right, which really needs this pop, and you've got Chester Bennington's vocals, who is like a vocalist that can like really reach the higher octaves, right? So this song, like, it sounds good on the Kai, it just sounds a bit too like thick and a bit too relaxed, right? For this kind of music, I just really prefer more treble, and the Kai does not have a lot of treble, so that's one downside, right? All right, last two songs I used to test technicalities. Through the Fire and the Flames by Dragonforce, just a song that has a lot of going on and quite poor mastering, which means that on sets that are not very technical, like it's so hard to separate all the different instruments playing in the song. And on the Kai, you can separate them. Like you hear the the electric guitar, you hear the bass guitar, you hear the drums, you hear the vocalist, but it's not clean, it's not clear, right? Which, don't get me wrong, this is completely acceptable technical performance for this price range, completely acceptable resolution, right? And I'm only mentioning it because in the comparisons I will tell you about a set that has just better resolution despite costing the same kind of money. But yeah, the technical performance is completely adequate for the price. It's very good. It has some decent detail, but it doesn't stand out to me, right? This is not a set I would buy for amazing technicalities. It's just kind of, it's a bit more technical than something like a Blonde 03 or a Truth Ear 0, right? But it's like the kind of technicalities you would expect from like a Moondrop Aria or a Moondrop Starfield, right? It's right for the money in terms of technicalities. It just doesn't stand out. And neither does it when it comes to imaging and soundstage, which I use this song. This is a cover of Metallica's Welcome Home Sanitarium by Apocalyptica. And this song just has 4 cellos, right? Just playing in different locations. And on a set that has like wide soundstage, this song will sound really wide, right? You'll have 2 cellos that are closer to you and 2 cellos that are really far. On the Kai, you get an IEM soundstage, basically. The soundstage is kind of like average. It is nothing special. The sound doesn't go far out of your ear. Again, this is expected for the price range, but I'm gonna show you one exception soon, right? And the imaging is actually pretty decent. Like you can hear like some positional cues about the different cellos, right? The 2 that are closer to you, they just sound like they are like in the top of your head, and the ones that are like farther away from you, they sound like they are in the back of your head, but everything is still in your head, right? This is IEM soundstage, basically. All right, so with the tribute to HBB and reviewing in his style over for now, I'm just gonna move back to the desk. All right, just set the camera up. All right, no, this is crooked. All right, yeah, fantastic, I think. All right, whatever, let's go. So I'm just gonna wind the cable and we'll introduce 2 competitors, right? Because I have a lot of good things to say about this set because I genuinely do really enjoy listening to it. It's a flavor that's new to my collection, really, because I do have some sets that are warm like this, but those sets usually also come with elevated treble, right? For a V-shaped response. The Kai is not a V-shaped set. It is a warm but dark tuning. It's very relaxed, so it is unique in that matter. And just for that reason, it was a ton of fun to me to just experience a tuning this different from what I usually listen to. But how does it compare to the things I usually listen to? So the two best known IEMs in this price range are the Dunu Titan S and the Moondrop Aria. I do not have the Moondrop Aria here, but I do have the Starfield, which, if you don't know, right, this is basically an Aria, but like prettier and 10% better because it has less sub-bass quantity, and with this driver, this really just makes, you know, the sound much less bloated and muddy. So, but it's a small difference though. It's like, you know, you pay $30 more for that, and in my opinion, it's worth, but it's like, I don't know, a 10% difference, right, between the Aria and the Starfield. So for all intents and purposes, if you own an Aria and you want to know about the comparison, you can just treat it as if it was an Aria, because all the tonal characteristics are still very similar. All right, so when it comes to the tuning, I already explained the Kai is a warm and relaxed set, right? The Starfield is also on the warm side. I would say it is a V-shape, but a much more relaxed one. Kinda like Harmon-esque in the treble, actually probably more relaxed than Harmon. And oh yeah, okay, it definitely has more mid-bass than Harmon, so probably not Harmon, but whatever. It is a very well balanced V-shaped tuning. And the Dunu Titan S, this set actually comes very close to neutral. Some might describe it as neutral bright, some might describe it as neutral with a bass boost, some might say it's a balanced V-shape because it's bright and it has a bass boost. I'm not going to complicate it further and say it's closest to neutral out of all these sets. Not fully neutral, but closest to, so whatever. In terms of my personal preference, actually, let's do that later. Anyway, yeah, so I compared these three IEMs. I was doing like A/B testing where I basically listened for like 4 hours to one, 4 hours to another, and also like direct A/B testing where I was switching between like, you know, those 10 songs that I usually use for review purposes, right? Like one after another, one IEM after another, right? And the test results were kind of surprising. Actually, one thing I found, the signatures on those, especially those two, Titan S and Kai, are like the polar opposite of each other, right? The Kai, put it this way, when I listen to the Kai and then switch to the Titan S just sounds just like thin and it's just like kind of too bright and it's like kind of, But when I listen to the Titan S for 4 hours and then I switch to the Kai, and suddenly the Kai just sounds like thick and bloated and just slow, and you know, it's a balance, right? Your brain gets used to new sound signatures really fast. So those two are kind of like the opposite sides of the spectrum, and the Starfield is in the middle. No matter which set I listen to the entire day, when I come back to the Starfield, I'm still like enjoying the tonality of this one, right? So this is like, you know, take this set if you want like warmer tuning, and take this set if you want like brighter tuning. The Starfield, I think it's legitimately the most well-balanced tuning out of all of those still. It just works for, I would say all of those work for, they are very versatile and work for a majority of music, but the Starfield is like the safest choice, right? All right, so when I compared those sets, I noticed that like when it comes to the bass quality, the Starfield definitely gets left behind, and the Titan S and the Kai just definitely kind of rule the table in different ways, right? The Dunu has a really tight, punchy bass. There's not a lot of it, but it punches with authority, and I actually found it has like better sub-bass rumble, like better dynamics in the region, which is crazy because there's so much less sub-bass than on the Kai. So that was huge, right? But when it comes to the tuning, I definitely like the tuning of the bass on the Kai, because it's just like so warm and just like rich, and you hear the bass guitar, which bass guitar is my favorite instrument, right? So I really appreciate a set that actually can portray the bass guitar, because when it comes to Titan S, like the bass guitar in Under Pressure just gets kind of lost in the music, right? And the Starfield bass, it's like all right. It's not very dynamic. It's fine. There's an optimal quantity where it's like never too much and never too little. It's just fine. That's the Starfield. That's how I would describe it. It's just a set that's like always just fine. Now, when it comes to mid-range and specifically the vocals, again, those two have really like kind of the opposite, kind of tuning to each other, right? The Kai, those vocals are like very rich and thick and like powerful, right? Whereas on Titan S, they are very like bright and sparkly and just lovely, right? This definitely depends on your preference, which one between those two you like. I would actually say like the general tonality of the mid-range is actually quite similar between those two. Like both sound like vaguely correct, but just the parts of music surrounding the mid-range just kind of influence it to sound warmer or brighter, right? But when it comes to mid-range tuning, I just got to put the Starfield first, because it just shines on vocals. Male vocals, female vocals, low or high, it just sounds fucking great, bro. Like, this set is still my favorite vocal set under $100, and even though like it's so far behind those two, okay, maybe a little bit behind the Kai when it comes to technicalities, definitely so far behind the Titan S, spoilers, I still prefer this when it comes to the mid-range, because the tuning is just so good. So yeah, when it comes to vocals, they sound like both warm and rich and sparkly. Just awesome. I love the Starfield. Now when it comes to treble quality, this definitely goes like this. Kai just has the best treble quality, period. Titan S is pretty good for an IEM. It has pretty good treble. It has decent timbre, which is more than you can say about most IEMs, or the Starfield for that matter, but it's just not as good as this. Starfield, it has IEM treble. It's whatever. It doesn't bother me. It's never sharp, but also never good. I don't know. Like, it's just IEM treble. Most IEMs have treble that sounds like this. The Blessing 2 has treble that sounds like this. The Truth 30 has treble that sounds like this. It's just whatever. Okay, when it comes to the technical performance though, this is like, I would say it's like this. The Titan S is just so fast, so detailed, has such great separation. It has the widest soundstage. The Starfield would be the second widest, but it has less detail than the Kai does. And like the imaging is also, I feel like it's better on the Starfield than it is on the Kai. They are both, I would say like, if this is a 9 out of 10 imaging, it's not like, absolute, right? When it comes to more expensive sets, they obviously will be better at imaging. But when it comes to this comparison, I would say this is like a 9 out of 10, right? This is a 6 out of 10, and this is a 5 out of 10. The distance is huge. This set, I don't know what the fuck Dunu has done here, but it's just incredibly technical, right? So let's summarize. If you want a set that's just like, warm and non-fatiguing and rich and just makes music sound good regardless what type of music you're listening to, Kai. When you want a set that's like a bit more balanced, right, and it just feels like the music just sounds correct, and also doesn't matter what kind of music you're listening to, the Starfield. And the Titan S, you take this when you want to know all the details of a song. This also sounds correct on every genre. I feel like such a shill right now, but it is genuinely the best IEMs you can buy for 80, 110. Don't. Okay, so my MacBook just ran out of space while recording this, so I'm just gonna wrap it up real quick. Yeah, those are the best sets you can buy for $80, right? If you can buy the Starfield for $80. So, do I recommend the Kai? Abso-fucking-lutely. Now, it's not a set for everyone, right? If you're a treble head or if you hate bass, then you're not gonna enjoy the Kai very much because it's just not the set for you, right? But I was kind of surprised because I'm usually the person who doesn't like a lot of bass and likes a lot of treble, and I still enjoy this set, right? So it's like, this is definitely a solid B tier for me, which, if you don't know my system, what B stands for is really fucking good. And the Kai is definitely really fucking good. Like, it's hard for an IEM at this price range to get a B, and this motherfucker just does it. So, good job to Try, good job to HBB. So, should you buy it? If you don't know me, I have two different rating systems. First is the tier list, where it's just like absolute sound regardless of price, comfort, and everything, right? And the second is the star system. It's a rating 1 to 5 on whether you should buy a set, right? 1 star, it's garbage and you shouldn't buy it, like no matter the price. 2 stars means it's either overpriced or it's very niche, so you should only buy it if you know what you're looking for, right? 3 stars means it's a good buy for the price that you're paying for it, right? 4 stars means that you're getting a very good deal and you're actually getting, more than you're paying for your money. And this is a set I think most people will like, and as such, it's worth paying this price for. And then 5 stars means that they set kind of redefines the price bracket. It absolutely smashes everything else that you can get for the price, right? Now, the Kai does not do that, but it is a great set. So with great pleasure, I'm gonna give this set 4 stars. I am very impressed by what I'm hearing. This is the first HBB set I experienced, and I have 2 more on the way. HBB is sending me the Olina SE, and I bought the QKZ at XHBB for myself. So yeah, I'm very excited to experience more of his sets. And as for you, if you're thinking of buying this set, and you think that you're gonna like the type of sound that I just described in this review, I just can't stress this enough. You're gonna be really happy with your purchase. Also, another thing, I completely forgot about it. Just wait for me. This case is a fucking banger, man. It's like genuinely such an amazing case. You just, put the IEM in, just close it shut magnetically. Love magnets. Looks fucking sick. It's probably not real leather, definitely not real leather, but feels like leather. Just such a great pocket-friendly case. You can actually put this case in your pocket. I'm talking to you, Dunu. You can put the case in your pocket. Do you know how crazy is that? Just with this package, those accessories, this sound, I would be stupid not to recommend this IEM for this price range. Anyway, that's it. That's it. Really it. I'm just gonna show my face because I know I'm hot and you like seeing me. That's it for today. You can genuinely do all the YouTube things, right? You can just click the like thingy, you can, whatever you do, subscribe to the channel, yeah, that's the thing, whatever. Just don't bother me. I've been talking to you for 30 minutes now, just fuck off.